Hello everyone, it's Genghis. Hope everybody's safe, healthy, staying the fuck away from each other, exercising, good social distancing. I wanted to take the time to do a video on plants. I have a lot of friends who want to be plant mommies and daddies, and I am the crazy plant lady amongst my friends. So I figured I'd do a video on plants that I would suggest if you want to learn to, if you want to grow a green thumb. These are plants that are really easy to find. So one of the reasons why we're here in my bathroom is because my house is full of plants. But in my bathroom alone, there is 13 different types of plants. Not 13 plants, but 13 different types of plants. So I figured this would be the best place to show you some things. Plus, plants tend to like, well, a lot of plants tend to like a lot of humidity. And since I live in Southern California, the best place for a lot of my plants is to be in my bathroom. Every time I take a shower, every time I take a bath, that water, that condensation that goes into the air is watering my plants, some of my plants for me. So that's one of the reasons why they're in here. Plus, you know, I take my spiritual baths. I like being surrounded by green. So I fill my bathtub. My entire bathtub has plants all around along with my candles. So when I'm doing my spiritual bath, I'm in a place that I can relax, and it's important to be able to relax in your house. Now, another way that you can raise the humidity in a space for your plants is putting more plants with your plants. The moisture in the soil will cause that space to have a little bit more humidity. So if you do have a plant that requires more humidity, clump it together with a bunch of plants and it'll help it survive a little bit better. I've recently had a few hoochie mamas ask me how to grow certain plants and stuff. Some of the plants that I grow, so people know I'm a spiritualist, I practice hoodoo. So I do grow plants for aesthetics, and I also grow plants for root working. I figured I'd show you some plants that, even though they don't have magical qualities to them, they will at least teach you the language of plants. You have to be able to understand why plants are doing certain things in order to be able to troubleshoot what's going on and save them. And some plants are a little bit more forgiving than others. Some plants, it's kind of hard if you forgot to water your plant and it starts to shrivel up and turn brown. Some plants don't really snap back from that, and then you have to buy another plant. So these are plants that are easy to grow. Again, even though they don't have magical or medicinal qualities of them, they'll at least teach you the language of plants. There's also plants that'll fit your lifestyle. If you're a busy person and you tend to forget to water your plants, there are plants that are a little bit more forgiving if you do forget to water them. And some plants, they don't even really require all that much water. So, and then there's plants that if you're the type of person that tends to overwater plants, there are plants that really don't mind you spritzing them, giving them all kinds of love. They won't turn yellow and they won't die. The two types of plants that I suggest to start off with are Pothos and Philodendrons. They are very, very forgiving. So if you overwater them, they're not going to die. Just stop overwatering them. If you forget to water them for a little while, they're not gonna, it takes a really long time for them to die. And the beauty about these plants is that you can also make more plants by snipping their runners and then sticking them in water. You'll get more plants in no time. So the first plant that I suggest you get is, and everybody's seen this plant. If you haven't seen this plant, you haven't been paying attention. I'm gonna go ahead and assume. But they sell this fucking plant in grocery stores. They have them at Home Depot all the time. This is a Pothos. So Pothos, they like to kind of drape over things and grow really long. It's a very good plant to create green in your space. And like I said, the beauty about these plants too is that you can multiply them and make more plants. So basically what you do is, so behind almost every single leaf, you see these little nodes. Let me see, these little nodes right here, okay? So what you do is you snip off the leaf right here, and then you snip underneath. When you stick this in water, roots will grow right here, like you'd see I did there. A lot of the Pothos and the Philodendrons that I have right now in my house, they are cuttings from other plants that I have. So yeah, in no time, you'll basically have more plants on top of plants on top of plants on top of plants. That's great, right? So I have two other plants that I suggest. This one I actually got from Home Depot, and ever since then I've been multiplying the shit out of them. I grow both the Pothos and the Philodendrons in my shop. I had to actually transport all my plants here to my home because we're on lockdown, and I had to, you know, make sure my plants didn't die. But here's like one of the philodendrons that I have that I got from Home Depot. Whoops, water everywhere. Looks very, very similar to the pothos, but pretty different. The leaves, when you feel them, they're a little bit more waxy, which rule of thumb with plants, the waxier the leaf, usually it can go without water for longer periods of time, as opposed to ones that are not as waxy. But one thing that I really love about this plant is that, and you can't really tell with this one because the edges have been cut, but when it gets new growth, a lot of times that new growth is like this beautiful flamingo color. So it gives you kind of like this pop of like this pinkish color in your home along with the green. It is a kind of a weird, it's got kind of weird runners, like it's really stiff, so it doesn't hang as elegantly as a pothos, but it does kind of create kind of a weird look, which I'm into strange, so I'm all about it. Now the third plant, which is also a type of philodendron, is a sweetheart philodendron, and out of the three, for sure my absolute favorite. Very, very cute plant. Again, looks very similar to the pothos, but is not the same. Again, one of the reasons why I love this plant is that you can kind of see as it kind of grows its runners, it makes like this little pinkish sort of hue, and it's super cute. I like the little heart-shaped leaves, and I like the pink. And again, you can multiply these basically the same way as you would a pothos. So those would be the three that I would suggest. If you have a tendency to kill plants, these are basically good starter plants before you move on to ones that are a little bit more advanced. So language of plants, there is things that you can read from plants when they do certain things. Like for instance, when you have a plant whose leaves are turning yellow, usually that is a sign that you are overwatering your plant. Or it needs more water. I'm reading this from the list so I don't forget stuff. I made another video of this and I totally forgot a bunch of shit, so I wrote everything down. So when your leaves turn yellow, either you're putting too much water. If you know you're not overwatering your plant, move it to a space in your house that has a little bit more light. Plants tend to get a lot of their energy from their leaves, so if they're not exposed to the kind of sunlight that they would love, they're just kind of just sitting in wet soil, not really soaking up, you know, the moisture that they need, and so they'll start to turn yellow. Just relocate it to another spot. A lot of places that I suggest in the house that are good for growth are south-facing windows. That's where I've found the most success with plants. This is a south-facing window, and I do have a shitload of plants kind of around that window. Move that. You can see, so you don't have to be able to see that anyway. But yeah, so south-facing windows, and also too, like if you don't have south-facing windows or you don't have a lot of windows at all, they sell a lot of grow lights. One of the reasons why I'm very successful at growing a lot of the plants at the shop is that a lot of the lights that are in there that people don't realize are actually grow lights, and that's to keep my plants alive. I only have one wall in the shop that actually has windows, but I have plants everywhere. And one of the reasons why they survive is because I have provided them with the type of light that they need. They sell them at Home Depot. You can get them on Amazon. Also, I've had friends that have asked me what it is that I do with the soil for the plants. A lot of different plants require different things. So you have your plants that sit in soil that hold water, you know, a lot of plants require a lot of different things. Like the plants that I just showed you, they're fine in regular soil, like big bags of Miracle-Gro, they're fine with that. But for instance, orchids. Orchids don't like regular soil. As a matter of fact, they're used to growing on trees, which is tree bark. A lot of the soil that you see that orchids will grow in is made of bark. And it's because it's a quick drain. The water will just pass through, and whatever the bark tends to or ends up soaking in, that's what the orchid's gonna get. A lot of people have problems with orchids because they do overwater orchids, not realizing orchids don't really want you to shove a bunch of water down its throat. So if you are the type of person who tends to want to be a helicopter parent to your plants, don't get orchids. Get something else. The type of plants that I would suggest for more busy type of people, here's some examples right here. So this plant right here, this fern doesn't ever want you to dry it out. It loves water. As a matter of fact, I have it because I am a busy person. It's in a self-watering planter. You can get self-watering planters at Home Depot. You can get them on Amazon. And basically what it is that I fill it up with water, and there's like a straw, like a little water gauge. When the straw gets down low, it's basically telling me that I need to fill it back up again, and it just keeps it watered. Like this one, don't ever let it go dry. I fucking love these ferns. It's actually one of my favorite kinds of ferns. And you see, when you go to New Orleans, as a matter of fact, the plants that they have hanging in front of a lot of the buildings is this type of fern. Fucking gorgeous. Love that plant. And then you have plants that don't necessarily want a lot of water. As a matter of fact, this plant right here can do with less water. I mean, I water it semi-regularly, but it's got more of a waxy leaf. This is my watermelon plants, little watermelons. Yeah, this plant doesn't necessarily need a shitload of water. It can go without for a pretty long time without water. As a matter of fact, this plant too, you can also cut off the leaves and make more plants. Sorry, there's a timer on my light. But yeah, that would be an example for, like, you know, somebody who has kind of more of a busy lifestyle that doesn't want to really pay attention to their plant as much, but doesn't want a pothos or a philodendron. That would be a good plant for that person. Also, succulents do very well for people who don't want to water their plants. As a matter of fact, succulents, they retain water so well, you really don't need to really water them all that much at all. And so when my friend was asking me about like how to take care of plants, there's also plants that don't require any kind of soil, like this one. I don't know if you see this moss that's draping, but I grow Spanish moss in my bathroom. I love Spanish moss. Now this stuff gets its moisture from the air. So that's another reason why it's also in my bathroom. Every time I shower, every time I take a bath, it's getting its moisture. I even have this little spray bottle to kind of spritz it every now and again to get it a little bit more moisture. Or if I feel like I've forgotten it a little bit too long, I'll take them off. They're like draping off one of my philodendrons back there. But I'll take it off and I'll soak it in water for a little while, then take it out and just let it do its thing over there. But I love Spanish moss. You'll see these kind of draping out of trees in the south. And they also have some magical uses to them too. But yeah, I have those growing all over the place. Oh, and I know Jean, hi Jean, wanted me to do a video on mushrooms. I got the pink oyster kit from Home Depot. They sell mushroom kits everywhere, and they're really easy to grow. If you really want me to do a video, I will. But a lot of these kits come with instructions. You just basically soak the substrate in water and then just spritz it every now and again during the day, and you'll get mushrooms. You get delicious fucking mushrooms you can put on top of your steak if you eat steak. I don't know. But yeah, but if you want me to do a video, I will. I do plan on buying a the golden oyster mushrooms, because I'm kind of enjoying the pops of color that these mushrooms have been giving my kitchen. Plus it's just kind of fun to watch mushrooms grow. So yeah, if you want me to do a video, I will after I get my next kit. If not, check out Home Depot. If not, check online. They're all over the place. I hope everybody is staying safe, staying well. And yeah, if you have any other questions, just hit me up, and thanks for watching.